Will Penn State wrestling rewrite the history books again and set those same records? And Penn State, we all know that they're going to win an NCAA championship, so it makes that second place race a little more intriguing with Iowa and Oklahoma State.
You are Locked On College Crossover, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
You are locked on to college wrestling and the NCAA tournament. Thanks so much for making this crossover episode your first listen and watch today. My name is Zach Seyko of Locked On Nittany Lions, and that is Cody Stovall of Locked On Oklahoma State and Trent Condon of Locked On Hawkeyes, as we are all teaming up together for one final preview ahead of the NCAA tournament. Today's show is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Well, we are your go-to for everything Penn State, Oklahoma State, and Iowa. So if you're not already, become an everyday or subscribe to the YouTube channels and wherever you get your podcast to stay up to date with all the in-depth coverage around your favorite teams. And let us know your predictions down in the comment section for the NCAA tournament and your champion expectations. We're going to give our predictions and our analysis here, starting with Penn State. And if they're actually going to do it, if they're going to reset the records they did a season ago. And it's great to get somebody outside of the Penn State bubble here, because I think they do it. I think that they do reset the records. Part of the reason is they have guys like Luke Lillidahl, in addition to all of the other wrestlers that can just score points at will. Bonus points are going to be the difference here. But I also do think that they get 7 finalists. I think they go 5-2 in the championships when I did make my predictions individually on my own. But I think they get 5 champions and they get 7 finalists in total. That beats the number from a season ago. So if the team that set records last year had 6 finalists, and I think this one gets 7 finalists, that's enough to get them across the finish line once again. But the debate is that, well, last year's team wasn't even the best of all time because they didn't get 10 out of 10 All-Americans. They didn't break the record for most individual champions. And so this time around, I don't think it's going to be up for debate. They're going to get 10 out of 10 All-Americans. They're going to get 7 finalists. And then even if they go 4-3, that's still going to break the scoring record. So I don't know. Maybe you can burst my bubble here, but I think this team goes down as the best in history.
It's very possible. I wouldn't have thought that chasing down last year's team was a possibility when the season started, but if you've been watching, especially the Big Ten championships and things of that nature, I think it's very, very likely that happens. But at the same time, I would also argue that there's going to be some individuals that have the capability to wrestle Penn State a little bit differently than they have previously. And for that alone, I think it should add another layer of mystique to this NCAA tournament.
You have, obviously, the top-level talent, the depth of the roster, and then you couple it with where this thing's going to be, and obviously going to have kind of the home crowd advantage that's going to go along with it. You know, if we had this thing maybe down in Tulsa or Oklahoma City or Des Moines, maybe we could have a different type of conversation, but that building is going to be packed with Nittany Lion fans, so they're also going to have the hometown support on top of it. I think that the baseline is just that, breaking the scoring record at 172.5. And if I had to make a bet, and for anybody that listens to Locked On Hawkeyes, they know I like to bet a lot, I would definitely be betting that, yes, Penn State, unfortunately, as sad as it is, they are going to break the scoring record.
It's interesting that we all agree here. It's not only my confidence, but it seems like there's a little bit of pessimism from the Oklahoma State and the Iowa side of things. And I guess rightfully so to an extent, because Oklahoma State did not live up to expectations, and neither did Iowa at the respective conference tournaments. Now, Oklahoma State had 6 finalists in the championships, but they go 1-5 in the process. But Trent, to go back to you, Iowa finished 4th at Big Tens. That's a massive disappointment. Everybody making the jokes about Ja'Cory Teamer and Kyle Parko and how expensive they were, and they're with their NIL packages, and the jokes essentially wrote themselves. But also some people pointed out that Ja'Cory Teamer doesn't look the same as he did when he was at his other destinations before Iowa, and same thing with Kyle Parko, that there's just a difference in their personality. So what's kind of going on from Iowa's perspective, where maybe there is a little more that meets the eye here?
Yeah, and when we talked, Zach, right before Big Tens, I brought up that there was a little bit more optimism going into Big Tens and with nationals because of what we saw at the end of the season, what we saw against Cody's squad, against Oklahoma State in that final duel. Kind of after the Penn State duel, Iowa looked like they were gaining momentum, that they were building. And then once again, it's the same garbage that we've seen for the better part of a half decade now, is when it came to the Big Tens and with the nationals, and we've seen in the past that they just didn't have gas left in the tank. And so it's crazy. We go from one narrative, hey, maybe this is going to be a little bit different, that it's not going to be a dead team and dead legs by the time that they get to nationals. And now we're right back to the same song and dance. Now, here's a great thing. They can change that narrative. And if they go out there and they solidly take second place, then we can say, hey, maybe what we saw, it was a bad Big Tens, but what we saw at the end of the season was not this illusion, that maybe the Brands brothers are figuring something out at the end of the season. But if it goes like the way that I anticipate it's going to go this weekend, and it's going to be another ho-hum type of effort, the questions and the frustration of this fan base is only going to build.
Well, obviously, the beauty of nationals is it can completely change the narrative that's even transpired throughout the course of the season. I think Trent nailed it. When you watch the Oklahoma State-Iowa duel, it was a disaster. From our perspective, it was ugly. They controlled almost every match. The crowd was absolutely insane. Angelo doing his little antics, of course, fueled this thing a little bit more. So I would love nothing more than to kind of talk some trash and have the conversation of how Oklahoma State should and could pass Iowa for number 2. But we showed up in the finals of the Big 12 championships, and we laid a bunch of duds. We looked very hesitant. We looked reluctant to be aggressive. And you can't wrestle that way whenever you're trying to overcome the likes of the Penn States and the Iowas. And even to some degree, you're going to have your Nebraska, Michigan, Ohio State conversations mixed in here as well. But yeah, I think the storyline of Oklahoma State, Iowa definitely got a little bit different after the Big Ten championships and even our failure in the finals. Sending 6 to the finals, great story. Having 5 lose, that's pretty terrible. But with the way that I performed in Big Tens, I do think it actually does raise this storyline even more because now it looks like it's possible to eclipse Iowa. After the Iowa duel, it was like there's no chance, right? There's no chance we were going to catch Iowa. But at least this gives everybody the ability to change the narrative and build some anticipation for the incoming year.
I guess we should have included Locked On Nebraska in this conversation because Iowa and Oklahoma State might not even be the second place team at the end of the day. So let's conclude this segment on that and actually make a standstill prediction on it. I think Oklahoma State, because of how many champions they actually got respectively, and I know that's the Big 12 tournament, but if Iowa's not going to be able to get that many wrestlers deep into their respective brackets, so Drake Ayala, Stephen Buchanan, but look at Oklahoma State. Wyatt Hendrickson and Troy Spratley and Luke Serber and all, six compared to Trent. So correct me, Iowa had just Stephen Buchanan and he lost. And Drake Ayala ended up getting pinned by Lucas Bird. So those were the only 2 finalists, if I'm not mistaken.
And back-to-back seasons now without a Big Ten champion, something obviously unheard of for Iowa wrestling to go back-to-back years with that. At least they had 2 finals this year. That was a step forward from what they were a year ago. But, Ayala got caught. I'll tell you what, we're going to go weight by weight now. I certainly have my perspective at 33, the way that he's going to bounce back. But, yeah, Buchanan, just a kind of a surprising effort there at 97 and what we saw out of him and thinking that at least it was going to be a different type of match than we get in that one. A lot of frustration. And that's kind of where we are from the Iowa perspective, the frustration that kind of continues to build with this fan base. And it stinks to see your conference brethren, what Penn State has been into. Yeah, you can get excited about the future, but hey, we still got an NCAA to get ready for, and that's where we are.
Do you think they finish second? Do you think Iowa takes second place?
I don't, and I don't know if you guys saw, it's not our friends at FanDuel, but there is a betting market that does have the market out there. Who is the champion without Penn State? Take them out of the equation, or who basically finishes in second. I was the betting choice at plus 125. I would not bet that. Oklahoma State, the second choice. How about you and I, Northern Iowa, at plus 350, the third choice, but I jump on Nebraska. You get the Huskers at plus 450 right now to finish in second with obviously what they have, 3 high-level guys that absolutely can be there wrestling in the finals. That would definitely be where I'd be investing my money.
You mentioned you and I, and I'm so glad that you did. They are a very, very, very good club, and we talk about the relationship between Oklahoma State, Iowa. that could be another conversation as well, because they almost crept up and won the Big 12 championship. So are we eclipsing Iowa? Maybe, but we need to show that there is a differentiation between us and you and I, because we did not show that in the Big 12s.
It was very close to the Big 12 tournament. I think that Oklahoma State can do it. I have more confidence in Oklahoma State, but I do, like you said, Nebraska plus 450. That seems a little enticing to me. So if we're going off of Intermat to finish up this segment here, Penn State's projected to get 158 points, so short of that 172.5 expectation, even though we all that record, even though we all agree that they will break it. Intermat says Iowa would finish in second with 82 points, Nebraska in third with 68, Oklahoma State with 63.5 at fourth place. So again, let us know your predictions down in the comment section. Now, there are some other things, some storylines to discuss here. 184, can Carter Starocci do something completely unprecedented? A fifth NCAA title. Parker Keckeisen stands in the way. So does Dustin Plott. But what about Angelo Ferrari? Could he have disrupted this thing? Or is Iowa being smart by playing the long game? We'll talk about it next here, coming up on this Locked On Crossover. And today's crossover episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. You ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track, and that's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all of your accounts, investments, and spending all in one place, so you just stop managing your money and you start building wealth. You'll get surprising insights. When I started using Monarch for myself, I realized just how much and where my money was going on things like deliveries or packages and everything in between. And now I budget smarter and I get to save more. You get the all-in-one convenience from Monarch. Instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch to check your finances, track your spending, and even plan your long-term goals. And you'll get easy collaboration. Managing your money with your partner is smoother than ever. You can track shared and personal accounts, set goals, and stay on the same page without all of the stress. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That is monarchmoney.com. Code LOCKEDONCollege for half off your first year. And today's show is also brought to you by Game Time. You got to download the Game Time app because buying tickets to your favorite events should not be stressful. Imagine watching your favorite team play live, feeling the energy of the crowd, and witnessing unforgettable moments. There's nothing like experiencing a big game in person. Getting tickets should not be stressful. That's where Game Time comes in, making it easier than ever to grab last-minute seats at unbeatable prices. Game Time Picks is an all-new feature that curates and makes it easier to find better value for tickets to sports, and more than just sports, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. And you'll get easy ticket shopping. You can check the Game Time app, and there are amazing deals on some huge matchups coming up in time for some of those big sporting events. You'll get super deals, the lowest price guaranteed, or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. And the best part, peace of mind. With seat views before you buy, no surprise fees, and a lowest price guarantee, you can book with total confidence. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account. Use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply again. That is LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Iowa opts to look towards the future with Angelo Ferrari, and we're gonna predict some upsets here in the process, but I guess some hypothetical upsets. As Angelo Ferrari took out Dustin Plott, he kept it close with Carter Starocci, and when it comes to younger wrestlers, guys who are freshmen and sophomores, and sometimes you see them bloom as a junior, but Angelo Ferrari, the argument that I make with Luke Lillidahl, and I think he's going to get a title as a true freshman, just to throw that out there, but Angelo Ferrari is only going to get better. And I think we all agree here that Ferrari, well, there's a reason they benched Gabe Arnold, because Ferrari was the better overall wrestler, and we saw that against Starocci. And then not everybody believed it until the win against Dustin Plott happened. So let's make sense of this. Trent, I think it's smart to preserve the red shirt, have him for 4 years, unabound. There's no issues. And then that way, when this weight class loses Plott, Starocci, Parker Keckeisen, then it's a total free-for-all after that. Max McAnally's still there, but I can't help but think even Angelo Ferrari could have made some noise this year, depending on where he was in the bracket.
He could have, but is he going to win a national championship? I mean, you just talk about the depth of this weight class and three guys that I think all feel they could be national champions this year. And I'll tell you, Keckeisen, he's going to go there believing that he can beat Carter Starocci and hold him from getting that fifth national championship and do something obviously unprecedented that we've never seen before. So you're in a weight class that is absolutely stacked. It's with upperclassmen. And the biggest thing from the Iowa perspective, you're not beating Penn State. Look, Penn State could show up with everybody with food poisoning. They're still going to be able to generate enough points that they're going to win a national championship. They can wrestle as poorly as they have maybe in all of their collegiate careers, all 10 guys. And guess what? They're still going to win a national championship. From the Iowa perspective, it's not about 2025. It's 2026 through 2029. And potentially, as we're talking about a 5-timer, maybe you can have a 4-timer with Angelo Ferrari. But that is what it's about. And because of all those things, I know you want to put your best foot forward. Give yourself the better opportunity. In reality, your best foot forward is not doing anything to upend Penn State and likely not going to bring home a title, even as good as he is at 184.
Cody, the concern was, okay, Carter Starocci ultimately defeated Angelo Ferrari. Dustin Plott did not do that. So I think Trent gives you some due respect that Plott should still be considered a national title contender. Where do you stand on that? Because yes, it was close. And you and I kind of hashed it out that, maybe Plott has taken a step back here. Others disagree, though, and say that we're off the mark with that one.
Well, I hope they're wrong, I hope they're right and I'm wrong because, I have not seen a progression out of Dustin Plott much of the season, especially the latter half of the season. And Keckeisen is my pick, to be 100% honest with you, because Ferrari did beat Plott, right? He beat Plott. It is what it is. But Parker Keckeisen throws Dustin Plott around like he's a redheaded stepchild that doesn't belong on the mat. Now, do I believe that? No, I think Dustin Plott is a bad mamma jamma that would whoop my tail 7 times in a bar fight. But at the same time, Keckeisen's a bad dude. Dustin Plott has not been wrestling, in my opinion, as well as he had at some point in time in the past. Throughout half of the season, it felt like this was a different Dustin Plott. But just like Oklahoma State in the championships of the Big 12s, he's somewhat tentative. And Parker Keckeisen is like a grown man that feels like he shouldn't be at this weight class. You shouldn't move somebody like Dustin Plott, a national runner-up level wrestler, like he's absolutely standing still. But it is what it is. I will say that we're kind of irritated that it's Arnold instead of Ferrari. Now, I actually didn't view it from Trent's standpoint about looking towards the future. That actually makes a ton of sense. But hate to be a bubble burster, but if anybody thinks that the Ferrari family is going to stay at any college at any time for 4 years, that's absolutely wild to me.
Yeah.
So is he going to win the national championship this year? No. Would it make more sense for him to redshirt and stay 4 years at Iowa? Yeah, but I also think that's to some degree wishful thinking. We're irritated about it. We wanted some retribution. I think that Dustin Plott can beat Angelo right now. However, the Keckeisen and Starocci story is a little bit different.
And Starocci and Plott are on a crash course with that 1 versus 4 seed matchup. It would be Max McAnally and Parker Keckeisen on the other side. And I said that Starocci was going to go to sudden victory with McAnally and that the difference was going to be the experience. And it truly was that because he takes, I don't like using the word lazy when analyzing the sport of wrestling, but it was a miscalculated shot attempt by Max McAnally that a redshirt freshman would make against Carter Starocci, and Starocci made him pay for it. But McAnally is not far off. And again, with the same thing, hey, he's just inexperienced, all the talent and potential in the world. He could maybe do something that is unthinkable and knock off Parker Keckeisen. But you've already kind of alluded to it, Cody. You don't think that happens. You don't think Carter Starocci gets his 5th title. He's one of my champions here. Out of all the Penn State finalists that I have 7, he's one of the 5 that actually goes on and wins and does something entirely unprecedented, something that will never happen again because eligibility has returned back to normal since COVID and society and everything has kind of returned to somewhat, semblance of normalcy here. Trent, I want you to jump in. Does Keckeisen prevent Starocci from history? Does McAnally prevent Starocci from history? Or are you taking Carter to get a 5th? NCAA
I'm
title.
call it wishful thinking. I played high school baseball with Doug Schwab, the UNI wrestling coach, so maybe that's a piece of it too. But I want to see Penn State at least have to suffer a little bit here. Okay, so you don't get a guy that wins a fifth national championship. I mean, come on. So let's go that route. Let's get Parker Keckeisen to win the national championship here. I do wonder, you go back to when they wrestled back in November, in overtime, you saw the Starocci, he had that underhook for so long here. I think there's going to be a good game plan that we're going to get there. I think we're going to get the match here. And again, it's probably wishful thinking because Carter Starocci is just that. He is an absolute star, but I'll go with the underdog here and give me the UNI Panther.
All right.
And it's really not an underdog. It is from the fact that he has, 4 national titles already.
Yeah.
I mean, it was close. It was close. Yeah. I was kind of sweating watching that match thinking, all right, Starocci, is he going to give up the takedown? But it was just that level of, I don't even know what it is at that point. Just that persistence. And I guess that overall strength that proved through, because when they went through the scramble, I think that Starocci is a little more slightly in terms of agility and speed, but Keckeisen just has the strength. That's really unmatched. So if you had to give one or the other, I think Starocci has the speed element and the quickness, whereas Keckeisen maybe has the overall strength. And I know Starocci might say that I'm full of it. I check all those boxes. Keckeisen, that's why he ultimately lost. I expect that one to go to tiebreaker. And it might go back and forth where it's sudden victory, tiebreaker, sudden victory, tiebreaker, because they're not going to do ultimate tiebreaker in the postseason here. But that also is going to be the Hodge Trophy winner. Because you can't just give it to somebody else if Starocci is going to take a 5th NCAA title, and you can't give it to somebody else if that person knocks him off in the championship to prevent history as well. So
you nailed it.
So that's where it's going to be. The Hodge Trophy is going to end up either in the hands of Carter Starocci for winning the 5th or Parker Keckeisen for preventing a 5th NCAA title. Got some other predictions to make. Gable Steveson, everybody expects him to win at heavyweight, but if Cody has some confidence in Oklahoma State, he thinks that Wyatt Hendrickson can not only knock off Kirkfleet on the way, he thinks that he can give Gable Steveson a fight as well. So we're going to make some rapid fire predictions, go through that matchup first, and then go through each individual weight class to wrap it up here on this Locked On Crossover. And today's episode is also brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Daylight savings snuck up on us again. And if you're feeling that lost hour of sleep, 5 Hour Energy has your back. The extra sunshine means more time for fun, but sometimes you need a little boost to power through. Whether you're staying up late watching the NCAA tournament, squeezing in a round of golf after work, or just trying to keep up with your busy day, 5 Hour Energy gives you the quick, refreshing pick-me-up whenever you need it. Basketball madness is upon us. I've been staying up late watching all of the tournament action, and 5 Hour Energy will help me keep up with the next day. That extra daylight means you get extra activities with longer days. You can go outside for a hike or a run. Tropical Burst can be your go-to for a quick boost when you do those extra activities now that it's starting to get nice outside. 5 Hour Energy is great because you have the on-the-go convenience. Whether you're at the game or traveling, 5 Hour Energy is easy to grab and it will keep you feeling refreshed. Head over to 5hourenergy.com to find over 15 flavors to choose from, including watermelon, blue raspberry, and peach mango, among others. You can even build your own 12 or 24 pack delivered right to your door. Need one now? Grab a 5 Hour Energy shot at your local grocery or convenience store. They're everywhere. Stock up today and stay energized with 5 Hour Energy.
The NCAA tournament is here, and so is the bracket breakdown.
Locked On Podcast Network and Amazon Fire TV channels are teaming up to deliver NCAA tournament coverage like never before. Watch studio shows featuring former players and Locked On's local experts as they guide you through every upset, buzzer beater, and bracket matchup.
Stream it all for free on Amazon Fire TV channel. Search Bracket Breakdown to see it all for free.
It's your team every day.
So, Cody, before we went to go record this show, you think that Wyatt Hendrickson has the chance to do 2 unthinkable things. Defeat Greg Kirkfleet in the semifinal with what we've discussed, a wrist injury, and then go and topple Gable Steveson. Now, as much as I like Greg Kirkfleet and thinks he can give Gable Steveson a fight, and I think that it will be close, I just can't bring myself to predict Kirkfleet, anybody, over Steveson in the process here. So I guess add some clarity to this. Why do you think Hendrickson can defeat two super giants that are in front of him?
In my defense, I said he's going to beat one of them. I think Greg would be the likely candidate. I don't necessarily think he can bring down Gable, but I do think that he's definitely good enough to beat Greg. And here's why. This is not the same Wyatt Hendrickson you've seen the last couple of years that was normally dominant in most of his time at Air Force. But when it came to these major matches, he had some disadvantages. Enter the Magic Man. If anybody on the roster has learned to be more crafty than Wyatt Hendrickson, I don't know who it would be. I think some of the tutelage under David Taylor is seen most by Wyatt Hendrickson. So not only does he have the strength to typically do a lot, but now he has the crafty ability in scramble scenarios to typically find himself in advantageous situations. So I think because of his ability to score now at a different level under David Taylor is what gives him this ability to take down Greg.
I agree that he's become, well, he has been, statistically speaking, the most dominant wrestler above everybody else at every weight class. He has statistically been the most dominant
and
wrestler.
And he's a military second lieutenant. That wrist injury ain't going to bother him now, not a nothing, buddy. He's a man. He's not 40 yet, but he's a man.
Let me point out that the last time that Kirkfleet, now granted this was in freestyle, Greg Kirkfleet teched, was a 10-0 tech, if I'm not mistaken, against Hendrickson. So that's the last time they met, but that was a while ago. That was during the Olympic team trials. So Trent, Gable Steveson, is he absolutely unbeatable? Carter Starocci was asked about it at Penn State Wrestling Media Availability, and Carter says, no, it is not impossible to beat him. I could bulk up and alluding to defeating Steveson if he had to, but talked about how on that given day, if Kirkfleet or whomever makes it to the championship, that you could change your life forever by doing something that everybody sees as impossible. So is it impossible?
Yeah, I'm going to keep this one short and sweet. Yeah, it's impossible. Gable Stevenson's going to dominate this thing, and it's over before it even begins.
I will take the middle of the road approach. I do think Gable Steveson wins. I do think Greg Kirkfleet is able to defeat Hendrickson, and I think that he moves on. And I don't think that Steveson is just rattling off takedown after takedown. For what it is worth, it wasn't a major decision against Kirkfleet, but Steveson was in control from start to finish. The way to beat Steveson is a lot of luck and a lot of defense. If you can somehow win and get that to sudden victory or tiebreaker, it seems even impossible trying to map it out. But the only way to defeat Steveson is you win 2-1 and secure a riding time point, an extra escape of some sort. But that's Stevenson's so good, so elite, because he's minimized the ways that you can defeat him. He's narrowed the amount of ways that you can defeat him in a wrestling match. So,
and can we just say the fact that he gets to be training partners with John Jones? That should be illegal. All right. That is absolutely ridiculous. How are you going to beat somebody that can roll around with arguably the greatest UFC fighter of all time? I don't get it.
Well, and he's won an Olympic gold medal. He went into WWE. He went into the NFL. I feel like this is a step backwards, but you have NIL, you have a chance to hoist another trophy. Why not make some quick money along the way? It's something that's like riding a bike for Steveson. We talk about it, but this is like riding a bike for him, just going back to folk style wrestling at the collegiate level. You won an Olympic gold. I don't know how this satisfies you in a way, but he's here and nobody's going to stop him. So to finish up, let's rattle off. So this is going to be a little rapid fire as we get towards the end of the show here. Again, let us know your predictions down below, but there's not going to be a lot of analysis. This is kind of just pass and go. 125. I'm going to take Luke Lillidahl over. I'm going to, and if you guys have a finalist as well, I'm going to take Luke Lillidahl over Jet Strickenberger at 125 just to start it off, and we'll work our way up.
I got Ramos beating Lillidahl and getting it done. Matt Ramos, he was the one that ended Spencer's Lee bid for a 4-time, and the other way, he's going to end Lillidahl's before it even gets started, so he can't be a 4-timer.
I do think Ramos gets it, but I'm hoping that Ventresca adds a layer of fun to this whole ordeal.
No Troy Spratley. You don't think Spratley gets in there?
Well, I want to see Spratley versus Strickenberger. Like, that is the most anticipated match, but it doesn't appear as though, based on the bracket, that it's likely to happen. And I think Troy's really, really good, but I think that there's some veteran guys ahead of him that are just going to be able to win out regardless.
133, I don't have a Penn State wrestler here. I hope Braden Davis, I think he gets onto the podium, but 133, I'm going to go Lucas Bird over Drake Ayala again.
I hate to admit this, but I have Ayala.
I have Ayala over Bird getting the rematch after falling by pin in the Big Tens, and Ayala gets his first national championship.
All right, on to 141. Penn State wrestling fans might be surprised by this. I don't have Bo Bartlett in the championship. I have him taking third. I have Jesse Mendez over Andrew Alirez in the finals.
I have Alirez. I think he'll make a bounce back from what happened to him at Big 12s.
And I guess I'm the one I'll take Bo Bartlett. You give me a Penn State wrestler, nobody wants him, I'll take him.
I just think it's so difficult the caliber of Jesse Mendez to defeat him 3 times in a row. I just can't see it. I'll say this. Yeah, Brock Hardy with the path that he has to go through is not getting to.
Yeah, I was going to say, as long as it's not Hardy, I'm happy, because I dang sure don't want to see Nebraska finish ahead of us.
149. Hey, this is where Rich Lovick could potentially, boost Nebraska's odds, but I think that Shane Van Ness gets some revenge. However, loses to the odds-on favorite there, Caleb Henson of Virginia Tech at 149.
I have Henson at 149 as well.
As do I. Yeah, we were kind of chalky here at 49.
All right, 157. This is one of the ones that I'm the most confident in. Tyler Kasak over Meyer Shapiro. I think Kasak wins, and I think that's the most likely final out of any weight class.
Yeah, I agree. I have no argument here.
Yeah,
I would love to say Caleb Fish finds his way out of water, but it just doesn't work.
Yeah, kind of getting boring here as we're getting to the middleweights.
No Ja'Cory Teamer? No Ja'Cory Teamer? Can't bounce back?
No, I just see a guy that looks so tired. I just don't think there's enough physically left in the body.
Okay. All right, 165. This is another one that's just, it's obvious. If you think it's somebody else, Mitchell Messenbrink is my choice over Mikey Caliendo. I'm going to go with the same thing that we've seen every step of the way between these two.
I'm riding Big 12. Peyton Hall's going to do the daggone thing, baby.
I got the same as you, Zach. Yeah, Caliendo just can't get over the hump against Messenbrink. He's at a different level.
It's Messenbrink, Gap, Caliendo, Gap, and then maybe it's Peyton Hall that disrupts everything. So we'll go to 174. I got Levi Haynes getting revenge against Keegan O'Toole. I think Haynes is able to get past Dean Hamity and then ultimately defeats O'Toole in a close one.
See, I actually do got to rock with my Cowboys on this one. I think Dean Hamity Jr. has that little bit of that magic man capability. He's been too reluctant in his last couple matches. I expect him to shed all that, be aggressive, and make something crazy happen here.
No O'Toole's going to be there. I'll just watch the semifinal. You guys can pick it.
184. We already gave our predictions there, more or less. So everybody else says Parker Keckeisen over Starocci. So I will take Starocci over Keckeisen and go back the other way. 197. We didn't really get too much analysis on this episode because, time constraints and everything. But AJ Ferrari's an interesting choice here. I think Josh Barr with the leg injury, he's not as strong of a candidate. Jacob Cardenas has been my pick all along the way. I will take Cardenas over AJ Ferrari here. I don't think Buchanan makes the final.
You took the words. Actually, I do have Buchanan making the final, but anybody who takes down AJ Ferrari, all of the ladies on campus in Stillwater, Oklahoma would be appreciative of.
And can we please get that second round matchup with Ferrari against Zach Glazier? Of course, last year in Iowa City at the Soldier Salute, it was the double fingers in the air as the Iowa fan base was booing Ferrari when they thought he was going to be a member of the Hawkeyes. That could be a second round matchup. Yeah, sign me up for that.
That guy can go. Never mind. I'm not even going to say it.
Got to keep it clean here, and we all agreed that Gable Steveson, nobody's going to defeat him. So that's going to do it for this.
But he will wrestle Wyatt. Okay.
Okay. I guess that's the bold one. I say, Trent, do you think it's Wyatt or Greg?
I'm going Kirk Levitt.
Okay.
Sorry, Cody.
It's fine. It's all right. It's all right.
I know.
Now, I am excited for this team race. We haven't finished in the top 5 in a few years. I know it's crazy for O State wrestling. It's crazy coming out of my mouth. So anything in the top 4 honestly should make us somewhat happy. And honestly, if Iowa finished second for the team race, I think that's good because it builds a bigger storyline for the duel next year.
That's going to do it for this Locked On crossover to get you ready for this NCAA wrestling tournament that's all over the course of Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Subscribe to our YouTube channels and wherever you get your podcasts for Locked On Nittany Lions, Locked On Oklahoma State, and Locked On Hawkeyes to keep up to date with all of the respective wrestling programs. Let us know your thoughts and predictions down in the comments section. Thank you so much for checking out this crossover episode here on the Locked On Podcast Network.